You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again with another show. We have our special guest, Lisetty Sandoval, and she is on a mission to empower people through her films. And today, we're going to dive into a special topic that she is going to share with us, and it's about From Victim to Hero, a story about the rebirth of a victim of sex trafficking. This was a film that she has worked on or is working on. Am I correct? Are you still working on this?
Yes, I'm still working on it, yes.
And I believe it was somewhere in Canada that you're still doing some filming and stuff like that?
That is correct. Yes, we're filming this month, September.
So first and foremost, before we talk about that project, that special project that you're doing, kind of unpack us what inspired you to get into film and also highlight this very important topic.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. For me, it's an honor to share my story and to share my mission with you and with the audience. The reason why I decided to do this, because after I overcame mental abuse, by forgiving and letting go of my past, I realized later on that I was given the opportunity and inspired to turn my pain into my purpose. So that's why this film is so close to me. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to share what Jesus did for me. And so that is not normal to walk around earth wounded, and that there's always a way out. And that's why everything else started with that inspiration that the film is not going to be just about sex trafficking, but it's actually going to be focused on the journey someone takes from being a victim to becoming the hero of your own life. And that is why I'm focusing on that rebirth of a victim of sex trafficking.
And when it comes to this particular story, From Victim to Hero, about the rebirth of a victim of sex trafficking, what inspired you to tell this particular story, and how did that process take place to currently where you're in the middle of the project?
Yes, so it all started from listening to an old Spanish song called Penelope. And while I was listening to that, I clearly heard God leading me to write about the rebirth of a victim of sex trafficking. At the time, I was in shock because I didn't know much about the topic, to be honest with you. So I started doing research, and it led me to a place called Manitou Island in Northern Ontario, Canada. It's beautiful. It's like a very touristic place. But it started interesting me because as you go along the highway, you're going to see huge signs saying buying sex is a crime. And I kept seeing that type of signs all over, just very odd to see in Canada along the highway. So I started digging a little bit more about this. And then after talking to different organizations that deal with rehabilitating survivors, victims that had gone out of sex trafficking, I realized that 4 out of 5 of these girls are indigenous. And also they're young. They start as young as 12 years old. And it shocked me to see that this was happening in Canada. I didn't know about it. And so my husband is also 50% indigenous. And therefore my daughter. So now it became personal to me. I had to do something about it. After gathering all this information, I couldn't go to sleep thinking that there were little girls out there that didn't have a voice. And I wanted to be that voice for them and use the media, my God-given gifts, to let them know that they're not alone, that there's always a way out, and there's always something else that makes them stronger, that they can be resourceful, that they don't need a man or anyone in terms of being the best version of themselves. Because after doing the investigation, I realized that the common denominator for why these little young girls start and go into this type of route is because they are vulnerable. They don't know that for them is the ability to go to college, that there are different programs available to them as indigenous. And unfortunately, when they leave that little town, because they live in towns where there's no community centers, no cinemas, nothing. So they try to get a better life, after finish high school to the closest city in the area. And so that's when they're being taken advantage of, because they are being led to think and to believe that they cannot do it on their own. And that's the only way to do it. So they're being misled, and then they get conditioned. And one of the other things that I notice is that once they're out, even though they're physically out of that ring, because that's what they call it, they're still trapped mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And most of them, unfortunately, go back to that type of life because they've been conditioned for so many years that they cannot do anything without the person that involved them into the sex trafficking ring. And so that is the reason why I decided to make this film, because at one point of our lives, we all felt feelings of despair, loneliness, being abused either physically or emotionally. And that's an understandable feeling, don't you think?
That is. You have a Kickstarter on this project. And people, how long do they have until there's a due date for this Kickstarter funding that you're trying to do to raise money?
Yes, that's correct. I have until September 22nd of 2022 to raise the remaining of the funds, which is about $8,000, to complete this film, because I want to spread the word. Most of us are volunteering our time. My husband is partnering up with me to do this film as well. Friends and family, we're all pitching in a little. So we can present this film around the world. We want to send the message out there. And this will be the beginning of this mission, because my mission is to help at least 500 girls over the next year to come from victim to the hero of their own lives, empower them, to make them resourceful, so they don't land on the vulnerability of predators in this case.
Once again, this is I'm Focus Radio, talking to our special guest, Lisetty Sandoval. And you, as a filmmaker, you have also written for short drama films as well. But going back a little bit, how did you start filmmaking? Did you go to school? Were you self-taught? What was that process like to where you're helping you get to where you are today?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. So I started as young as 14 years old. I used to write little pieces of poems, or just making little films with my brother and my sister out of songs. Like, I will get inspired and I will see the whole movie in my head. Or you will tell me a little story and then I will end it for you. Like I was there, like I will make it up. And then I decided to refine my craft, and I did went to school for a few years. And then I just loved it even more. That's when I realized this is my passion. This is what I love doing. And I can still tell positive stories through film. That's my purpose.
And speaking of purpose, you did mention in the interview about faith. How has faith helped you just stay driven to do this type of work?
Yeah, wow, that's amazing you asked me that, because there's a say in the Bible that we are jars of clay, and we need to unleash or manifest our God-given gifts, because they were not ours. They're from the Creator. They're from God. They come from God, and therefore we need to show it forward. When I heard that changed my entire mindset, because He puts us there to be a light on top of the mountain so we can light the city. he says, I will not put a light underneath the table, right? Like I'll put it on top of the table so it can light up the room. So if he made me light, I need to shine it, because if I take it all in and I just keep it by myself and I make my little movies with my family so we can watch it in our living room, it's not going to help anyone. It's not going to show forth the gift that he has given me. So it felt like a commitment. It felt like an honor to manifest whatever he has given me. So he has definitely been that source that keeps that fire going for me to continue on, regardless of what people say. Because let me tell you, I had very incidents where people had said no to me, closed doors on my face. My own family, sometimes they didn't understand what I was doing. But I said, I have the standards, and my standards are coming from God. And once I did that, it liberated me in terms of I don't have to, everyone doesn't have to understand my idea. Not everyone will like it. But as long as God is okay with it, I'm going to move in faith and by faith. And that's what has kept me going. And those little verses from the Bible have resonated in my mind and my soul. And that's what I recite to myself almost every day, just so for me to keep going.
Sounds like this is a very, very, very important project, because you can tell when something's important to someone because they personally are committed to it no matter what. And you mentioned once again about faith, how that keeps you focused on the goal, but also on the very purpose of it.
Yes.
To those watching, I'm going to plug it again. You have a Kickstarter. I'm going to put the link in the description in this episode, but you have about 19 days left as of today's date of Friday, September the 2nd. If someone had the opportunity to help you, are there other needs that you need from the community as far as processing, producing your film? Are there any other needs that you have other than the funding?
Yes, I would love for them to share the word, to spread the campaign, because in my mind, $100 is amazing, but it's also 100 shares could also be as powerful. So if you may not be able to contribute monetarily, but maybe of someone that might be interested or be able to help in this cause in any way, please share it. And then, because I want to do this as a collaboration, regardless of the amount that they contribute, you will still get a private link for viewing of the film, because I want the message to be sent out. I want everyone to see it. And then I also have some rewards as well in the campaign where your name can be at the end of the end credits. And I will say a special thanks to my heroes. And then, and at that point, you're going to feel proud to see your name attached to something like this, to this project that will bring a hope and shows the power of true forgiveness. So that's why I want to make it as a collaboration, that we're all doing this together.
Oh, that's amazing. So am I getting this right? Someone made a donation and they actually put their name. They can see their name possibly in the credits of the film.
That's right. Yes.
That's very unique, and that's pretty awesome. That is something that should give people even a more reason to contribute. So with that, when you finish this project and it's out there,
yes,
I'm sure that's just a starting point, because you probably have a lot more things that you're putting together. Are there any teasers you can give to our audience of future projects that you're even maybe thinking about considering to dive into?
Definitely. So what I was given, I don't know if you heard of it, but in the Bible says God has the nine fruits of the Spirit. So I'm going to create my own cinematic world of faith-driven themes, but I'm breaking the mold, because I have, as a filmmaker, my stories are not linear, like there's just one tone. I'm putting everything that's unfiltered of what true reality and true humanity is. So every single movie of those is going to interconnect with the other, and is going to be a powerful journey through all those fruits of the Spirit. And it will entail patience, it would entail faith, it will entail love, and many others that, yes, I will definitely will tell you.
Everything I'm hearing from you, you are really into this faith. So when it comes to faith in God, why is that so important to you personally? And at what point in your life did you decide that that's something you have to just really dive into?
Yes. Thank you so much for that beautiful question. Like I said before, I overcame mental abuse. And that mainly happened after I immigrated to Canada by myself and looking to refine my gifts as a filmmaker. And my husband at the time, we didn't have a very good relationship. He was working a lot and we were only seeing each other once a week. And so I felt deteriorated as a woman. I didn't feel worth it. And in the relationship, it was very tough for me to consider myself that I could be in a healthy relationship. And I got to a point in my life where I said to God, this is it. I tried everything. What else is out there for me? Am I able to live the life that you want for me? Because there has to be more than this. And so I remember a friend of mine took me to church and I didn't want to go in, and I was outside in the parking lot. And she was taking a long time. So I'm like, okay, I have to go in and get her so we can go somewhere else. And when I went in, the pastor was talking, and out of the blue, he just said, I know you have been looking for me everywhere and nothing seems to be working, but I'm telling you, you have to come here. And I felt like he was talking to me directly. So I told my friend, just, can you take me there? And then when the pastor held my hands, I can clearly hear Jesus talking to me, saying for the very first time, you're not alone. I put you here. You don't need a man. You need me. And that's all you need. Just don't leave my side. And then I make him a promise. I will never leave your side. I know I've been running away from you, but I will never do it again. And so my life changed from that very moment. And I'm sorry I'm crying because it takes me back. But I'm not crying for sadness. I'm crying for emotion that even though it's been so many years, it's about probably 10 years ago, and it's still so vivid, the experience and the warmth that I felt from him. And I will never forget those words. And so I decided to commit my life to use any gift that he has given me to share what he has done in my life, in every area of my life, through my films, through my art. And that's why I'm so committed to him, because all throughout these years, he's always been faithful. He has never left me. And so I want to show this to the world, that because at that point before Christ, I thought it was okay. It was normal. Okay, marriage is supposed to be like this because people have problems. That's what I thought. It was normal because of society dictated that way. But then when he found me, he said, no, it's not normal. You're meant to be happy in every way of your life. And once I find out, it was liberating for me. And I decided that I'm going to live the life that God gave me and then that I was meant to live. And so I'm sorry. But that's why I'm so excited and so on fire to share that message with the world, and to all women out there, to all men out there, that their lives can turn around. And now my husband, because of my change first, my husband changed, and our marriage changed 180 degrees, because I was at a point where I said to him, look, I love you, but I love Jesus more, and I don't want to contaminate myself again. So if you're willing to follow me, I'm willing to stay with you and go back at renewing our vows. And he didn't think it twice. He said, yeah, I see you change, and therefore God changed him. But and now he's helping me to spread the word.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Once again, listen to I'm Focus Radio, talking to our guest, Lisetty Sandoval. And man, I hope people take this series and go visit your Kickstarter link that will be in the description of this episode. But I want to say thank you for sharing your story, not just with us, but also sharing your faith. I think that's powerful, and I think it will be inspiring to many. Before we let you go,
Yes.
you really took this to heart with faith. If someone listening right now and they have thought about it, but they haven't yet committed to that personal relationship with God, what would you say to that individual?
I would say go back to your source, because he's the one who put you there, and he puts you here on this earth is because you have a gift, and you can just go ahead and ask him, not like he is a faraway father, like a faraway God. He is your father. He's your daddy. You can just come to him and say, God, Father, Daddy, I'm done with this life. I want to renew myself. I want you to make me new. Make a whole clean slate for me. But I want to commit to you so you can commit to me. Because we have to remember, God will put us first, but we also need to put him first. Because many people ask me sometimes, if God exists, then why he let so much trouble in the world? It's not about that he leaves us. It's because we don't come close to him. And I learned that. I went through so much, and it's because I was running away from him. But once I made the decision, I can't take this anymore. I'm making the committed decision that I want a brand new life for myself because I deserve it. Then he took me in with open arms. And that's what he's waiting. He's waiting to hug you, to embrace you, and to tell you that he is your father, that he is your best friend, that he is your husband, that he is the one who's going to take care of you. And regardless of what happens in the world, you're the one who has to make the decision. He cannot force you. He's a gentleman. He will never force you to do something you don't want to. But if you want to leave where you are and go into the hero of your own life, go to your source where you came from, because you're light. You are light. You are meant to be bright on this earth. You're here for a reason. You're not mistake. Your mistakes or your errors from the past, your mess, could be your message. And so that's what I want to tell you. Don't give up on yourself. You're amazing. You're loved. And if you're here, it's because God has a purpose for you. Every single one of us have a purpose.
Hey, you said some powerful words there. Your mess can be your message. And man, once again, I want to say thank you for not just talking about your film. Can you tell people once again the title of this film so when they Google it, they can find that Kickstarter link?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, the name of the film is Penelope's Story. And if you go to Kickstarter.com, you can type in the search box, Penelope's Story. And it will come up. I have a 2-minute little clip video talking about why I'm making this film, why it's so important to me, and what would you expect to see in this film. So I did talk a little bit more about that in there.
And once again, true honor talking to Lisetty Sandoval and your filmmaking process. And hopefully you will break and shatter records, and that will help fund your next projects to come. And we'll hopefully maybe have you on again on the show to help you push your future projects that you have in the future. So I want to say thanks again. Very powerful story, very inspiring, and I want to say thanks for your time for talking to I'm Focus Radio.
Thank you so very much for having me here. I really appreciate it. It was an honor talking to you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. for allowing someone like me share my story. I really appreciate it, and you're also turning the light on this earth. So thank you so much for that.